wearing a mask because it's Corona and we're trying to stay safe. For those of you who have been with me for a while, this backdrop might look a little familiar. That's because I'm back in my childhood home in Malaysia. I flew back because of coronavirus. And you know, I'm really glad that I'm in Malaysia at the moment because we're handling the situation. Okay, we're handling it pretty mediocre, but like relative to the UK, we're handling it much better. Sorry, I can't English today. Stop, Jesus. So, oh my fucking god. It's been a while. It's been a while. Okay, let's just acknowledge that. Let's address that elephant in the room. You're probably wondering where I've been. And to answer that question, this is what I'm gonna say. I had a degree to finish, and I had other things going on in my life. And we're just gonna be okay with that. And we're gonna move on. So hard. And I'm keeping my overshirt on because I have body issues and it is what it is. Well, I am a 22-year-old adult with a university degree. I graduated from university and it was pretty anticlimactic for very obvious reasons. One being that we're in a pandemic and I didn't have a graduation ceremony, which I'm not salty about at all. But you know what? There are other more important things happening at the moment, so we're not going to dwell on that. Yeah, so I'm a 22-year-old adult with a degree now, a sociology degree. So you know I have no career prospects. So let's get those jokes out of the way. And I just wanted to take the time to reflect on my 3 years at LSE and what it was like for me now that it's over with, and to talk about my future and where I'm headed to next. Let's start with a reflection on my 3 years at LSE. My time at LSE was interesting, but like, to be honest, I'm gonna miss it so much. Like I really miss being at university. I really miss coming onto campus. I really miss hanging out with friends, you know, in the Starbucks by Holborn. I miss going to the library to do absolutely nothing because I just had nothing better to do, or in the media center, or in the SU. Like, I just miss, I don't know, I just miss being physically in campus. Didn't realize how much I missed it until lockdown happened and I couldn't go back to school because of that. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I wouldn't trade my experience at LSE for anything else in the world. Like, it really made me the person I am today. Like, before I went to LSE, I was a dumb bitch. But now, I'm an educated dumb bitch. And that's what matters. The reason why I enjoyed my time at LSE is not necessarily because of the institution itself. We'll get to that in a minute. But like, it's more, it has to do with the people there. Like, my friends, you know, my societies, that really made my time at LSE special. I miss my a cappella group so much. I miss singing a cappella. Shameless plug, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe. If you're coming to LSE, audition for us. Please, please, please join my a cappella group because I'm not there anymore and we need more members. I miss working on the school newspaper. I miss making plans with friends to meet outside the SU. I miss like random meetings we'd schedule for like society stuff. I miss being the vice president of music, even though that was like one of the most stressful things in my life. I missed having that much authority. Anyways, I also just really enjoyed my degree. I really enjoyed studying sociology. I really enjoyed my department. Like near the end, it got kind of bad because of the whole COVID situation, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I enjoyed my degree. I enjoyed studying sociology. It was such an eye-opening experience, and like, intellectually, I'd be a totally different person if I weren't doing a sociology degree. It really informed the way I look at the world and the way I view things now. Like, I can't not look at things the same way anymore just because I have a sociology degree and I know better. I guess if you want to know how I did, I graduated with a first class honors. I, not gonna lie, I'm kind of shook, but that's not the thing I'm shocked about the most. I found out that I was awarded 2 prizes. I was awarded a prize for the best performance in my third year cohort, and I was also awarded a prize for the best dissertation. And honestly, like, how the fuck did that even happen? Like, I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I'm not trying to like look for pity. I'm not trying to look for compliments or anything. That's genuinely how I felt. Like, honestly, I don't think I deserved those grades. And I'm currently doing all these like mental gymnastics to try and justify how that happened. I'm not saying that like I'm not happy about it. I am. It just caught me off guard. I had time to let it sink in, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful to my department for awarding me these prizes. So yeah, if you want to read my dissertation, I guess like drop a comment and I don't know, maybe I'll put up a link. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll make a video talking about my dissertation one day, but time and effort really depends. That being said though, I do still have some beef with LSE as an institution. Yeah, not gonna lie, LSE is quite shady. I think as with most universities, you know, all universities have their problems. But LSE in particular, like if you know, you know. Like for legal purposes, this is a joke, but like if you know what's been happening at the university in terms of like workers' rights, in terms of like student mental health issues, student satisfaction, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, LSE has been pretty bad with all those kinds of things, and it's just been really frustrating, you know, as a student, knowing that the institution just refuses to listen to its staff and its students, and it's just so frustrating because they keep asking us what they're doing wrong, and we tell them, and they just don't listen, and that's just, and I think that's an issue with like every university, not just LSE, but like specifically at LSE, like it's really just been the bane of my existence. Also, like, their response to the whole COVID-19 situation was just god awful. And that's why I said, like, my relationship to my department changed near the end, because, like, again, my department was really amazing until the end, and that's truly because of it's like a structural thing with all departments, LSE. Like, they really screwed us over because we're the only Russell group without a no detriment policy. Universities with no detriment policies protect their students' grades and performances, meaning if you did badly during the period in which COVID happened, it won't affect your degree classification. And LSE is the only university that didn't have that kind of policy. Instead, they had this like weird no disadvantage thing, which, I don't know, was even just more confusing than just know it's a whole mess. Like, they really should have just put a no detriment policy. Like, Oxford and Cambridge had no detriment policies. Like, you're not special, sweetie. And it really screwed over students who, you know, had a lot of mitigating circumstances, like students who had to return home and become carers, you know, students with underlying mental health issues who were really struggling, you know, during this time. And it really screwed them over. And for me, like, I know that, like, I performed exceptionally well during that time, but still I had a lot of mental health issues. I was super anxious. I was basically stuck in a foreign country for 2 months because I couldn't fly home, and I just didn't know what was going to happen to me. I was alienated from my family. I had my own issues as well, and it just sucked that LSE just did not know how to respond to the situation. But yeah, that's enough of like institutional stuff, because for legal purposes, this is a joke. I know that I said that the people at LSE really made my experience there, but that's also it's both a positive and a negative thing. Because there were some people at LSE that really tried it with me. Y'all really tried it with me. Like, some of you, like the amount of people I had to fight and debate purely because of what we were studying and the ideological conflict that came out of that. And I get that, like, this happens in most universities, but because LSE is a political institution, like, it just gets even more heated. Like, I was attacked on our confessions page because I made a video about how much I really enjoyed studying sociology. Someone got really mad at me because I made a video talking about how much I enjoyed sociology. For some reason, they read that as an attack on their like political beliefs or something, and they had the gall to attack me for my nails. Like, sweetie, look, like, are you happy? They're not, you know, they're pretty. Okay, they're still pretty bad, but you know, they're not as bad as they were before. You didn't have to attack me for my nails, like, Jesus. But you know what? That's fine. That is fine because it's these people that made me who I am today. You've challenged me intellectually. I might be a dumb bitch, but at least I'm an educated dumb bitch. Like, this last point might be a little controversial, but you know, as an international student, there is a lot of xenophobia in LSE, and that's something that, from what I've heard, you know, stories I've heard from like international students in the UK in general, there's like a culture of xenophobia on UK campuses. Like, domestic students really dislike international students. And I understand it to some extent. I get that a lot of us have class privilege, and that's the reason why we're able to afford overseas education. I'm not gonna fight that. That's 100% true. And it's something, you know, we as international students need to acknowledge. But a lot of their criticisms feel like unnecessarily racialized, because a lot of international students in the UK and in LSE are East and Southeast Asian. It's hard not to notice like the racialized elements of that. Like, someone on LSE Love, which is our confessions page, like confessed to shortchanging international students at the SU shop. But how do you know they were international? Like, is it because they looked Asian and talked funny? Like, do you not see how that's a little problematic? And the generalizations they make about us being like these rich students who pay people to write our essays. Like, sweetie, no. And it comes from, you know, organizations you would think would be on your side. I'm not gonna name names, but if you know, you know. Like, it comes from a lot of people you would think are able to empathize with your situation. Like, they say some of the most xenophobic shit. Like, that's all I can say. It's like, they're coming here and taking our spots. They're coming here and stealing our jobs. Like, do you not hear yourself talk when you say shit like this? Like, we're not the problem. Like, most of us can't even, like, get a job after we graduate. Like, the way the job market in the UK works, like, there are a lot more obstacles if you're a foreign student, like, if you're a foreigner, because not every, like, company is going to want to sponsor your visa. Like, chill. Like, a lot of us end up having to go home after we graduate, and a lot of us, like, who have mental health issues have a lot more barriers when it comes to things like looking for help and resources, because like, if we miss classes, if we defer, that just puts a lot more stress on like our visas and like the resources we have to spend in making sure we are allowed to come back to the country. I don't know how to tell you this, but we're trying not to get deported. Like, the Home Office already doesn't like us. Like, we're like, chill.
Daddy, chill.
We're not the enemy here. We're really not. Like, you know who the problem is, and it's not us. Please, I'm begging you. Okay, so with that out of the way, it's time for me to start talking about my future, which is something every graduate just wants to avoid talking about. Before we get into this, there's a little bit of context that a lot of you need to know. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a Cambridge reject, and so is like 80% of like the LSE population. Like, most of us are Cambridge rejects because most of us apply to the same course. And to be honest, HSPS is like LSE crammed into an entire degree. Minus like probably history and geography, which you can also apply to in Oxford. But like, most of us applied to HSPS at Cambridge and didn't get in and ended up like doing politics or sociology or IR at LSE. To be fair, hold up. I was pretty upset that I didn't get into Cambridge. Like, I was pretty depressed for a while, and you know, I did settle into that whole Oxbridge reject syndrome. You know, I watched all these articles, watched. I read all these articles and watched all these TED Talks about how to get over your Oxbridge rejection, how to turn this rejection into something meaningful. I felt like LSE was just some kind of consolation prize. Until I actually went to LSE and I met other Oxbridge rejects, and boy, you know what? I'm good. You guys can keep that. I don't want to be that bitch. Like, being an Oxbridge reject is a really like just a special kind of person that I refuse to be. Although, like, in retrospect, I know why I didn't get to Cambridge. And the thing is, again, I was a pretty dumb bitch back then, but now I'm an educated dumb bitch, and that's thanks to LSE. And I'm so glad that I didn't end up going to Cambridge for my undergrad. And I'm not saying that just to make myself feel better. Like, I genuinely am so glad I didn't go to Cambridge for my undergrad, because I hear all these horror stories from like Cambridge graduates I know, and I'm like, you know what, I'm good, you can keep it. I'm so glad I don't have to write 8 essays a term. Like, I'm so glad that I have time to do other things I love, like music and drama. I'm so glad that like I get to specialize in the things I want to study starting from my 2nd year. I wouldn't have gotten that if I did sociology at Cambridge, because, you know, the way HSBS is structured, I won't get to like specialize in anything until my 3rd year. And by that time, I would need to come up with an idea for my dissertation, and I wouldn't have had enough, you know, instruction in the field I want to go into to do that. I'm glad I got to do sociology at LSE. Yeah, so like, I was sad, but then I got over it, because you know what? Some of you Oxbridge rejects are really something else. I didn't want to be that bitch. So yeah, you know, I got over it, and I'm so glad that I went to LSE, right? So that being said, tell me why I applied to Cambridge for my master's. I really said I wanted to reopen all my old wounds and all my trauma from being rejected at undergrad. I really said that. You know what? I was like, you know, for shits and gigs, why don't I apply to the place where this all started, right? And so I sent in my application in January. I sent my application in December because of the funding deadline. And I was like, right, time for me to start my application to UCL in preparation for my rejection. Like, you know what? If they rejected me once, they're gonna reject me again. I do not believe that place wants me to be there. And you know what? I was fine. I was okay with that. I had accepted that maybe Cambridge is not the place for me. So the moment I sent in my application, I was like, I'm gonna start looking at other places now. I'm gonna be realistic about this. That is until I got my acceptance email. So yeah, I'm going to Cambridge next year for my master's. I'm going to be doing a Master of Philosophy in Geographical Research, because, you know what, I've always wanted to study human geography. Like, for people who don't know me that well, that might come as a shock, but yeah, I really enjoy human geography. I really liked how the program was structured at Cambridge, so I decided, yeah, I'm going to go for it. And yeah, I got in. To be fair, I'm not looking for pity. I'm just being completely 100% honest about this. I genuinely think there was a fluke in my application. I'm doing all these mental gymnastics to try and justify why they let me in, because in my head I'm like, they rejected you once. What happened to like make them want to let you in now? All my friends are telling me like, Ash, I think you have imposter syndrome. And you know what? If one of you guys are like some kind of psychology type expert, please let me know if you know I have that, because I don't know if I do. I don't know if I have imposter syndrome, but all my friends are telling me that I do. But yeah, I guess I'm still like scarred from my first rejection, that I genuinely feel like my acceptance to Cambridge was a fluke, and that the only reason they let me in was because maybe the course was not competitive or they didn't have enough applicants this year. Like, again, I'm not trying to be dramatic, that's just genuinely how I feel. You know, I was watching Ipsmo's video about his Harvard rejection, and he brought up the fact that people who get rejected from like, you know, the school or the place they really wanted to be, when they end up going back there, they do so out of the need to feel validated. And when I heard that, I was like, is that me? Am I doing this because I want to go there or because I want to feel validated? For a long time, I was conflicted about wanting to go to Cambridge until they accidentally withdrew all their postgraduate offers. and I had a massive emotional breakdown. I may or may not have emailed every single contact that was available. I may or may not have messaged every social media page begging them to reinstate my offer. I think by that point, I realized, you know what? Maybe I really do want to go to Cambridge. As of right now, I've confirmed my offer. I'm applying for my visa. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. I guess we're coming full circle. I really didn't want to be one of those Oxbridge reject types that come back for their masters, you know, second time round, but it is what it is. You know, that being said, like, I don't know if it's ever gonna replace my LSE experience. I was considering reapplying to LSE for my master's, but then I realized the reason why I enjoyed LSE so much was not because of the institution itself. That was my least favorite part of being at LSE. It was the people who were there. And like, if I were to stay for my master's, the people who made my time there special wouldn't be there anymore. And maybe it's time for me to start a new journey and start making new memories at a different place. So we'll see. We'll see. But as of right now, nothing will ever replace my LSE experience. So the last thing I wanted to discuss is the future of this channel. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I'm feeling kind of disillusioned with StudyTube at the moment. I don't know, it's giving me this like perfectionist vibe that's just not me. My results and my grades, they might say otherwise. My academic performance might say otherwise, but I'm really not that person. If you know me in real life, you know that I just... Jesus. Oh my god, I just choked. Like, if you knew me in real life, you know, oh my god, who the I tend to like get away with doing the bare minimum. And I'm not that perfectionist type that like wakes up at 8 a.m. every morning, works out at 9, drinks a smoothie, and gets ready for school. Like, that's not me. And like StudyTube is giving me that vibe at the moment, and that's not me. It's really not me. And I feel like there's this implication that everybody has to be this perfect student, like model student, which I don't want to set unhealthy expectations. I don't know, like, it's just not me. I'm not feeling it anymore. And the thing is, now that I am going to Cambridge, the market for student vloggers at Oxbridge is kind of saturated. The whole reason I made this channel to begin with was because I felt that there's not enough representation of student life outside of like the Oxbridge sphere, which is why I made this channel to begin with. And I really don't want to end up like those people. No offense to them, I love their content, but that's not the path I want to go down. So yeah, I think this might be the last time I'm gonna be making content like this for a while. I don't know if I see myself coming back to like YouTube and StudyTube in the foreseeable future. This might be one of the last times you see me. Will I ever come back to YouTube? Maybe. I still want to do educational videos, but not like this. I want to be one of those bitches that makes video essays. I want to be like Lindsay Ellis in Philosophy Tube, except like for sociology, because there's not really a video essayist out there that does sociological content aside from maybe Sarah Z. And I don't know, like, I kind of want to experiment with that, because then at least I wouldn't be putting my degree to waste.
Why won't you just get in there and give it to her with your socialist people?
Let's be honest, I probably will in the future. So, you know, at least I'm going to be working my sociology brain still. But I mean, for like 45-minute academic script, that's time and energy. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see when we cross that bridge. That's pretty much all I want to say. And I don't know when you guys will see me next, or when I'll see, well, I obviously can't see you guys. It's a one-way street. Yeah, this might be one of the last times you guys ever see me on this channel. Because I have a life. That's just it. I have a life, and I have other things that I want to start pursuing now. So, yeah. I guess I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully. Oh my god.